Metal Sonic versus Perfect Cell isn't close. Death Battle is notorious for doing death battles that not all the time are 100% accurate. So we have one of the most credited and respected, as you see, 330,000 subscribers, third of the way to a million by Divine, talking about the Metal Sonic vs. Perfect Cell match. I actually did not see this in real time. I know of it, but I didn't like watch it. I seen the videos of it. I wanted to watch it. I just never did watch it, to be 100% honest. So we're gonna get his take on it. As always, I'm gonna pre-fire like, and it's your main man Sly. Sign until time to provide you with some content. Without further ado, let's hop straight into it.
This is Perfect Cell in the matchup between two machines designed to kill the strongest. Only
I don't know. Perfect Cell, at most, people like me trying to use the solar system Kamehameha to scale them up. But I don't know. OD is like a scaler who actually has like data book information, so he might be able to get him higher than that. But I do know that in the Sonic verse, Sonic is stated to have like infinite speed, depending on which version of Sonic we're talking about. So I think Metal would scale relatively to that ridiculous feat. But let's see.
one can come out on top, one being the ultimate machine, the other the ultimate android. So who wins? Evil versus evil. Metal Sonic versus Perfect Cell. Metal Sonic, one of the most dangerous and sophisticated machines ever created in the world of Sonic the Hedgehog. Designed by the scientist Dr. Eggman, Metal Sonic was engineered to be the ultimate rival to Sonic. From the very beginning, Metal Sonic was not a mechanical reflection of Sonic himself, but a machine that could match Sonic's speed, intelligence, and combat ability. Over time, Metal Sonic would evolve far beyond that original purpose, becoming a consistently improving weapon capable of rivaling some of the most powerful beings in the entire universe. Unlike other Robotnik creations, Metal Sonic was designed with the ability to improve over time. Throughout the Archie comics continuity, Metal Sonic has gone through numerous
He's talking about Archie. Archie's the one with him having infinite speed.
upgrades and reconstructions, eventually reaching versions such as Metal Sonic version 3.0 through 3.8. Each time the machine was destroyed, its data and combat experience would be transferred into a new body. This process effectively granted Metal Sonic a form of technological immortality. Rather than permanently losing battles, Metal Sonic would archive the information from those defeats and use it to improve future models. In this way, every fight became a learning opportunity. Every loss added a growing library of tactical knowledge, making each new version of the robot more dangerous than the last. One of the most significant advancements in Metal Sonic's development came when Eggman implanted what's known as the free thinking algorithm. Earlier versions of Metal Sonic functioned more like drones, carrying out commands without much independent reasoning. They were efficient, silent, and ruthless.
Eggman got nasty IQ. You heard that free thinking algorithm. We're literally talking about creating a robot that has the ability. It's kind of like the androids, right? But like 17 and 18 were modeled off humans. We know Jiro is modeled off a human. 21 was modeled off his wife. But like, think about this. This is literally like a complete robot having an algorithm that allows it to like think freely.
But they lack the instinctive decision-making ability seen in living fighters. The free-thinking algorithm changed that. With this upgrade, Metal Sonic could analyze combat situations, learn from mistakes in real time, and adapt to strategies during battle. This transformed him from a simple robotic weapon into something much more formidable, a machine capable of thinking like a strategist and reacting like a seasoned warrior. Metal Sonic's physical capabilities are equally extraordinary. As a robotic counterpart to Sonic, he possesses immense speed and agility. In the Archie comics continuity, Metal Sonic consistently keeps pace with Sonic's and his allies during combat. Characters like Sonic operate at ridiculous speeds. Characters like Sonic frequently operate on speeds that are faster than light at bare minimum. But it goes even further beyond this, as Sonic has literally accelerated through time and fought against literal time eaters and Solaris, which is a fifth-dimensional creature that was affecting the past, present, and future, which would comfortably put Metal Sonic between infinite and immeasurable speed. In addition to his speed, Metal Sonic demonstrates immense destructive capacity.
Difference, immeasurable. It's just a quantity that we cannot like comprehend. Infinity is a quantity so big that we can't comprehend it. Immeasurable is a huge number. It's just not quite infinity. Wukong has a feat where he's able to lift up in a universe of infinite size. That will mean he has infinite strength. If you have a feat where you can contain 15 big bangs or something. Well, we have big bangs. Say something worse than a big bang happens in this fictional universe, and you can tank like 10 of those, like just off like lifting strength or something. That would be immeasurable strength. Like we don't know the limit of it, but we can't say it's infinity. because that is called a no limits fallacy. But if something consistently proves that it is infinity or close to it or is above it at times, then you can say consistently that it's infinite. Like Luffy, people say him being rubber and like him being immune to blunt force is a no limit fallacy. I don't think that's the case. We see in One Piece that when Lucci and them was beating on Luffy, they were using Haki without knowing they were using Haki. So if we're saying verse equalization and saying these have Haki, okay, cool. Blunt force can hurt Luffy. But without Haki at all, he cannot be hurt because we see Moria with his devil fruit crushes Luffy to the size of paper and he tanks it. That is impossible. Even to crush paper itself to that size is impossible. Like he stepped on it and crushed it like D, turning it to a 2D object, thinner than paper. So like, for example, you take something like this bottle, it cannot be crushed to that size despite being malleable metal because at that thin of a area, it can't fit. So it will try to escape, and if it can't escape, the material essentially kind of combusts in on itself. If you've ever seen a hydraulic press try to fold paper hella times, that's what happens. The paper explodes outward because it can't hold that type of energy in on itself. So for Luffy to have tanked an attack like that pre-time skip, pre all these crazy feats, it shows that literally before you either have to say that his rubber is crazy or he had the motivation to beat Moria. So it puts him at a point where you would have to argue that his Toon Force is literally like Looney Tunes. Like not that crazy, but his Toon Force is ridiculous.
Scaling to Sonic and other high-tier characters within the Archie Comics continuity, Metal Sonic reaches levels of power of affecting multiple multiverses. Within the Sonic cosmology, there are multiple realms that are...
And you see what I'm saying? I'm not even putting a, like Cell, early Dragon Ball as multiversal. To me, that just don't make sense to me. Genuinely. Boo did destroy an entire universe, but I feel like that's Mickey. I feel like that's Mickey feats. I genuinely feel like that's Mickey feats. But also, Boo Saga is way after Cell Saga. But, anyways, get back to the point. I feel like that's Mickey feats. Because then you have is losing to people who I think are weaker, but technically they get upscaled by the fact that Boo had that feat.
Perfected, which are like higher dimensional spaces, which would comfortably put Sonic and ergo Metal Sonic at 5th dimensional, or being able to affect a realm that is beyond the regular 4 dimensions, as space has 3 dimensions, length, width, and height, and time has 1. Going beyond that would be 5th dimensional. Just like Sonic himself, Metal Sonic also has access to upgrades and even his own super form, with the super forms in Sonic being literally stated everywhere to grant infinite strength. As when Super Sonic and Knuckles were clashing, it was stated that Sonic's power is literally immeasurable. By the time later versions of Metal Sonic appear in the Archie Comics storyline, the machine has become far more than just Eggman's creation. Each reconstruction carries the accumulated memories and experiences of all previous models, turning Metal Sonic into a living archive of combat evolution. His entire existence revolves around a single purpose: surpassing Sonic and proving himself as the ultimate mechanical life form. So overall, Metal Sonic was scaled to 5th dimensional with infinite to immeasurable speed. But how does this machine actually compare to perfection itself?
You see how realistic, you see how crazy that sounds? 5th dimensional, infinite speed. Just off that, Cell can't touch him. 5th dimensional, if he has enough AP to damage Cell and Cell can't touch him, even if he's like the equivalent of us fighting a Chihuahua as a human, if you can't hit the Chihuahua will kill you. You're not fast enough to, you know what I'm saying? You're not fast enough to tag it, it's fast enough to tag you, and no matter how little the damage is, unless it's really like a bug bite, if you get hit with that millions of times over, you lose.
Cell, Perfect Cell, an android that wasn't just actually compare
That's a good transition.
to perfection itself. Perfect Cell, an android that wasn't just built to be strong, he was designed to inherit potential of the strongest beings in the entire universe. Dr. Giro's computer collected genetic material from fighters like Goku, Vegeta, Frieza, and Piccolo, which means Cell doesn't just possess their strength, he possesses their techniques, their instincts, and biological advantages. Saiyan battle adaptation to Meki.
I don't know. With these death battles, it seems like they pick people just based off like themes. Like the Deku versus Miles Morales, they probably picked that just off the Black Whip, bro. That's not good comps. Like they don't pick them off like, oh, it's a close match. Like Yusuke versus Ichigo, they don't pick them because it's a close match, bro. They pick them because there's some commonality between the characters.
and
I don't
regeneration
think this is a
and
good match for
Frieza's
Cell.
abilities. Cell is essentially multiple top-tier warriors fused into a single organism. But the real insanity appears when we analyze the cosmos he exists inside. The Dragon Ball Afterlife cosmology,
the
Hell is
macrocosmos.
described as an endless realm within the other
This is where it's getting me with the Dragon Ball scaling.
world. This dimension exists outside of the living universe and is portrayed as seemingly infinite in scope. Now here's where things get interesting. During various moments in Dragon Ball media, characters like Goku have crossed this realm, and they do it in a finite amount of time. If Hell is truly infinite in size, then moving across even a portion of its immeasurable time,
I feel like this is ridiculous. This has to be a ridiculous feat to claim. Because Snake Way is not infinite. Snake Way is not an infinite path. And I get the argument like, oh, you move over a finite amount of space amongst an infinite space. But like, if you use the squeeze theorem here, okay, let's say hell is infinite, and we know that they cover this in a certain amount of time. If you have a divergent series that diverges to infinity, and you know another series is smaller than it, it proves nothing. It can still be divergent. It can just be divergent to a smaller number. It could be convergent, but just because it's smaller than something that goes to infinity doesn't make it also something that goes to infinity.
suggests something extraordinary, as this would qualify for infinite speed, as Goku is traveling in an infinite distance in a finite amount of time. However, this feat might be even faster.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just not caught up with Dragon Ball. I haven't watched OG in a minute. That's why I'm about to go back and rewatch Z. But I don't remember it's just casually racing around all of hell or something, you know?
Than you think, taking into account that this realm was stated to be beyond the concepts of space and time, and the concept of time literally
I don't know. I think that's data book mistranslation joint, bro. Genuinely, because if time didn't exist, there'd be no threat in theory. Like you'd have to have it that far surpasses time and stuff. If time doesn't exist, it depends on make how you make the argument, because you can make the argument like, oh, time doesn't exist, so therefore time should be stopped or something like that. But if Goku's moving in a space where time doesn't exist, what is the point of his technique if that's the case? If niggas are already this fast, you know what I'm saying? It's like certain things kind of to me are anti feats, and the only reason they don't come off as anti feats is if you use this to gas Goku up, you can then use this argument to gas everyone Goku fought against up. So now everything makes sense. But the same is losing to someone who like can't even destroy a building. Not saying this has happened, but like, you get what I'm saying? This is where power scaling to me loses me. It's like it has to be something consistently shown and consistently done. And when it comes to translations, bro, they cannot always be trusted. They cannot.
doesn't exist, which would grant him immeasurable speed in retrospect.
Also,
the concept of time literally doesn't exist.
In this world where time exists, it uses too much energy. He's not even implying like, oh, there is no time at all. I mean, it kind of does by him saying that. But in my mind, especially because it's a translation, he could easily just be saying time in terms of like time limits. It takes up too much energy when there's like time when it comes to my energy usage. While when I'm there, your body stays in the same state, so you can in theory train forever. That's what he's implying here. You get completely exhausted all at once. But again, you should only use it in the afterlife. In this world where time exists, it uses too much energy. He's not making it to say like, oh, time exists, I'm slower here. Like this doesn't this statement, the point of this statement is not necessarily conjunction with time. The point of this statement is conjunction with energy. But to pull this out, you can then use that to make the claim that you're making. But if there's no other like, oh, in this SPS, like what they got with Oda, they asked Oda this question, or when they asked Kubo during the Q&A this question, if there's nothing else confirming this but this one statement, bro, it's not reliable. Not because like I'm supposed to you're supposed to believe me when I say the data book is lying. I'm not saying it's lying. All I'm saying is it could be a mistranslation. Not to mention if something's not consistent, you have no reason to like believe it. Your world can have gravity, but if everyone in that bit can fly and they have no abilities that make them fly, it doesn't matter if one panel showed the world having gravity. Apparently, your world don't have gravity, man.
Exist, which would grant him immeasurable speed in retrospect. Now, why does this matter for Cell? Because Cell directly scales to Super Saiyan Goku. Within the Buu saga, he was able to casually travel this distance, but needed Super Saiyan to take on Cell, which means Cell would be able to perform this exact feat casually.
Mind you, I don't think he crossed all of this. But again, the point is they're able to move into space without time. So that makes them immeasurable. Something of that like. It's the same thing how the velocity is distance over time. If there is no time, to understand it, you have to like assume time is like 0.0000000, something very close to zero, but not necessarily zero. For them to move in that time, whatever distance they have covered, you divide it by a number that small, and then the velocity would multiply to a crazy number. That's essentially the argument being made here, but I don't know. I don't think that's what he was implying. I think it was just life. Because King Kai waters plants and stuff. To me, that implies time flows. Like they eat, they cook, regular shit happens there. It's not just top tiers here. It's literal like other souls that can move relatively quickly here. Are we gonna immediately say all of them is already measurable in speed? And then that would be used to wank up Kid Buu who went there and just started killing. Like, you get what I'm saying? It gets to a point where it's like it has to be repetition in terms of the statement and what it's implying, and it has to like make sense within the narratives and the confines.
But the cosmology actually gets even deeper. In the Dragon Ball film Dragon Ball Z Dead Zone, a phenomenon known as the Dead Zone appears, with this movie actually being canon to the main timeline story. Created by Garlic Jr., the Dead Zone is described as a hyperspace dimension. A hyperspace in fiction typically refers to a space that exists beyond the standard 3 dimensions of length, width, and height. If a realm possesses more spatial dimensions than our own universe, then a character capable of interacting or operating on a higher dimensional scale would be 5th dimensional by definition, which means characters like Goku and by extension Cell are capable of affecting structures beyond the simple 3-dimensional universe, and the 5-year-old Gohan was able to defeat a character who created this realm. And
do you see what I'm saying though? You see where that gets to like it doesn't mean he's wrong, you know. But you see where that, to me, that becomes like very ridiculous. Oh yeah, 5-year-old Gohan's able to do that. Where was this when he was fighting Raditz? Is this upscale Raditz? He's still wearing the same fit he was wearing when he fought Raditz. Obviously later on in time, but you know what I'm saying? What about Gohan when he was wearing the purple fit and it was in the Saiyan Saga? Does this happen before the Saiyan Saga? Just based off the fit, I have not seen Gohan wear that fit besides before the Saiyan Saga. But what about after the Saiyan Saga? Does this mean what's a good pull? Does this mean someone who was struggling against like Dabur or something like that has hyperspace level feats off the risky just because 5-year-old Gohan did this? If 5-year-old Gohan is not beating a Raditz with this level power level, and then same 5-year-old Gohan is able to do this, does that mean Master Roshi and them, in terms of determining the power arc, have this level of stats? Like, this is where power scaling gets out of hand. It uses essentially the squeeze theorem, which makes sense under certain reliability and like consistency. Oh yeah, this is a crazy feat. This person's known to be stronger than them, so they should be able to do something better. Okay, now you have to look at the logistics. Is this person stronger than them literally? Are they stronger than them in this aspect? Maybe this person's strongest because they're better all arounder, while this guy specializes in speed. Maybe who's known as the strongest isn't the fastest, so this feat of speed doesn't apply to him. Little nuances like that. I don't think this can be taken at face value, bro. Genuinely.
Cell is literally thousands of times
I don't
stronger.
know. When did he said the Garlic Jr.? It's the Garlic Jr. movie. Filler timeline. Just before Raditz's arrival. So again, this is pre-Saiyan Saga Gohan moving beyond hyperspace. So now we're going to say Nappa, Raditz, Vegeta are 5th dimensional beings.
No, let's revisit Cell's famous claim, the Solar Kamehameha. Cell declares that the attack that he's charging could destroy the entire solar system. Many people assume this means his power caps there, but the wording in the sentence suggests something different. Cell wasn't releasing his full power yet. He was charging his energy over time, building up enough force to erase the solar system in a single attack. This statement describes the power of a specific blast as he was accumulating energy, not necessarily the absolute limit of his power. This is even more evident as Cell literally puts more energy into his attack as Gohan matches it, implying that the solar system blast that he fired initially was not his full strength, as Cell even before this has multiple statements.
This is not a reach. This statement right here is not a reach. Oh, it says solar system, Okay, but he used more power after that. So it implies that wasn't his all. If that wasn't his all, and on top of that he kept fighting, that implies that he could have went higher than that. He also acknowledged the fact that he was charging it up. So it also shows nuance-wise, he can't, with a snap of his fingers, blow up the solar system. You feel me? But it does say, in a fight where he has time, he could release that level of destructive capacity.
Of being able to destroy the entire universe and literally having infinite and immeasurable strength, and not in reference to the entire universe and...
This is definitely hyperbole, bro. Stop it, bro. Bertha, the god of destruction, named Cell, Cell's boxing with beers.
Literally having infinite and immeasurable strength, and not in reference to the infinite energy that androids possess, but rather his literal battle power.
What the? Did I press V? I pressed something. Put that down. But is that not ridiculous? You see what I'm saying? You see where, like, it gets out of hand? And again, with the Sonic stuff, Metal Sonic stuff, the reason, to me, it makes sense is, again, he's relative to Sonic. You can say he's slower, but we know he has a certain degree of speed. Cool, that argument works. Within the Dragon Ball universe, they exist amongst humans. They fight with humans sometimes and don't kill them. And like, yeah, they can hold their power back. But you'd imagine if someone had this like fifth dimensional power before the Saiyan saga, you throw Super Saiyan 2 on top of all of that. That would put Cell even higher than what you're claiming Cell's at from the Gohan joint or the Goku joint. Do you know what I'm saying? It now puts Cell at this overly hyperspace level, and it's like, if that was the case, then like narratively the show wouldn't work the way it worked, and there would be no stakes.
What makes Cell truly terrifying isn't just his current power, it's his potential. Cell contains the DNA of Saiyans, and Saiyans grow stronger each time they survive extreme combat, meaning Cell could theoretically continue evolving indefinitely. Every battle making him stronger, every injury pushing him further. The perfect life form was designed not just to win, but to adapt beyond his energy. But here's where it gets super interesting. According to the current author of Dragon Ball Toyotaro, all Dragon Ball content is canon. However, it's not in the same timeline or story.
To me, everything is more or less canon because I've seen all of it. It's not really my place to know who determines what is canon and what isn't.
All Dragon Ball content.
I think it's better if each fan decides for themselves what is canon or not in their own continuity. What they think is canon. You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't think Divine's doing this on purpose, bro. He does good work, you know. I don't think it's too bad, but like, I think it just can agree that this is a little bit ridiculous and a little bit egregious. Even this statement is not him saying, yeah, gotta go ahead, everything's canon. He says word for word, it's not my place to say what's canon and what isn't, even as the author. He doesn't even if you want to say he's not saying that as the author, he doesn't even say, I think that's Toriyama's job, because he's the real author. No, he says it's not my place to do that at all. I think it's better each fan decides what they want. It's canon. So by this logic, if you're going to use this to like bend an argument to say something that like it's not canon is canon, then who you're arguing with can make the logic like, oh, none of the story is canon to me. Only OG Dragon Ball is canon to me. You get what I'm saying? Like, they could say whatever to like make their argument beneficial.
Is canon. However, it's not in the same timeline or story. This is where the matchup takes a turn for the worst, because this would include both the Heroes and Xenoverse versions of Perfect Cell, which is ridiculous because even the weakest characters in Heroes are stronger than current Xeno and Dragon Ball Super. As the supreme Kai of time, Chronoa can hold all of creation and controls all of time, yet believes that the future warrior is needed to correct the events of Xenoverse, which includes Cell. And even Evil himself, Frieza and Kid Buu can destroy entire time crystals, which represent timelines themselves, which would place Cell above the subspace that is stated to be beyond the concepts of space and time, which houses places
I like that. This is a clean skin.
like the hyperbolic time chamber in Sugaruko space, and Cell is still stronger. So in the matchup between two machines with each having the purpose to defeat the strongest, there can only be one.
I think you can argue Cell's stronger. I don't like the way he did it. I think it's very Mickey. And I agree with like most of his videos, to be honest, funnily enough. But I think the way he went about this one was pretty Mickey. The Gohan feat's not it. Solar System feat's good, but the Gohan feat's not it. The Hell argument is like okay. It's a lot of gymnastics, but it's okay. I'm not mad at it.
Winner, and the winner is Perfect Cell. The reason Cell wins is because in terms of base scaling, Cell and Metal Sonic would scale relatively the same to complex multiversal and having infinite to immeasurable speed. However, this is Cell casually. If using his full strength, you would be even stronger than this, but not by an actual dimensional tier. When taking both of them at their max strength, Cell would outscale in all areas due to Dragon Ball heroes making Cell ridiculously strong. So in the end,
again, it's like saying comp. So again, like it'd just be better to say that if you led with comp, and that's where like the title is just kind of clickbait, which is fine. There's nothing illegal about that. But it's like again, it's like if I say, "Oh yeah, you're fighting." What's a good example? Oh, you're fighting Wukong. Wukong's already a crazy in the box, so you'd have had to bring up some crazy. And I go, yeah, actually, you're fighting comp Wukong. What? That's like going, yeah, Saitama versus Goku, which people say Goku wins. I don't think it's bad to say Goku wins. I think there's logic behind it. There's also logic for people to say Saitama wins. But then that's like saying Saitama versus Goku. You as a Saitama have your arguments laid out and they go, oh, I meant comp Goku. What am I here talking to you about it then for? Because when you get far and far out, they have made crazy power feats where it's like, it's not even close. This is a useless discussion to have. You lead with that, this conversation gets no further than, oh, who you think will win? And I'd be like, yeah, you got it. You know,
Metal Sonic never had a chance because as far as I can see, you're either perfect or you're not me. What's up guys, it's Divine. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you guys like and subscribe and hit
I want to see if we got a sponsor for this video.
that notification bell so you never miss an upload. And if you want to sponsor a video just like this one, I have my cash.
He didn't say someone sponsored it. Does he normally say thanks, blah, blah, blah? I think he does. So, yeah, he made
link
this
in the description where you can sponsor your very own video. But let me know down in the comments.
So this is probably a more biased video. It's okay. I'm not mad. I'm not mad at his opinion. I'm not mad at his logic. But I think it's one of those arguments where because it wasn't grounded enough, if someone is in his position but on the other side, like the Metal Sonic side, they can make a very compelling argument why Cell would lose. When you get to the point where you're making like disingenuous claims to some extent, it's like, okay, if someone flips those tables on you, then they could claim they win. But if you make an argument that is rooted in like truth, objectivity, and like it's in the middle, but your character still wins, then it's like, okay, that's reasonable. You got it. You feel me? But you know what I'm saying? Either way, Fire Divine video. I love the animations. I like that he did his research on certain parts. I didn't even think about even thinking about this fight, I would never be able to think about those arguments. So I still give credit where credit's due. There was still logic behind it. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you stay happy, healthy, and hydrated. You're on time to see me next. Peace.